Whereas with Bitcoin, the machine is spreading everywhere in the world outside of the control of the politicians and the corporations and the centralized governments. And I actually think that the Bitcoin net will succeed, where maybe the John Galt line was a bit more of a heavy. A lot of people don't realize that Bitcoin wasn't the first crypto project. The other projects all relied upon some kind of oracle or some intermediary or some centralized agent of some sort, things that were launched by, say, Nick Szabo before. And they abandoned all those projects because ultimately they all had an attack surface. And the attack surface was that corporation subject to regulatory capture or that entity. And so who is John Galt, right? No, who is John Galt? He builds something and he disappears. Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? I think Satoshi realized that the only way for us to make this work is we have to build a system that is completely separate from the existing financial structure, the existing power structure. And so the heroic thing to do is, he didn't raise money. He didn't do an ICO and raise $500 million to capitalize it, even though there was plenty of capital in 2010 for tech companies. He didn't keep any for himself. He didn't stick around. And he created something which Bitcoin, we've got this thing in Bitcoin called Pizza Day. And the significance of Pizza Day is the Bitcoin network fires up January 3rd, 2009, and then it trades with no value until about, May 2010, 500 plus days. And on Pizza Day, it's worth a fraction of a penny. Okay, so the price that was paid by Satoshi to create something that was virtuous and uncorrupted and uncorruptible was give up fame and fortune and self-interest and expedience and any kind of get-rich-quick or simple notion, and do it the hard way, and do it in such a way that, what do you get if you mine Bitcoin? You get more Bitcoin. What's that worth? It's worth nothing initially until people decide that having something which is incorruptible and immortal and orthogonal to the entire corrupt $500 trillion financial system is something they might want to join in on. And the risk he took was, maybe people won't want to join. Maybe people won't believe in freedom and sovereignty and truth and self-determination through cryptography, but maybe they will. And Pizza Day was that first, okay, it's worth a couple of fractions of a penny. And then it's worth $1, and then it's worth $10, it's worth $100, it's worth $1,000, it's worth $10,000. And so today it's alive and it's something, but it was able to be bootstrapped without a CEO or a board of directors or a headquarters or a nexus or any early founders. And therefore, it does have this characteristic of incorruptibility. You could hold the gun to my head and tell me to change Bitcoin or you blow my head off. I can't change it. It's incorruptible, immortal, ineffable. You can say, by pain of law, shut down all your Bitcoin mining in the entire country. That happened about a year ago in China. They shut down half the network, had no impact, just a slight blip. The Chinese shut the entire thing down. You could shut it down in any state, in any country. You can't kill it because it doesn't have a head. It's a diffuse, decentralized swarm creature of sorts. And the price that we paid, was paid by the early cypherpunks and by the true believers and Satoshi Nakamoto, which is the selfless act of giving this incorruptible, immortal, fair, equitable network to the world without any fiduciary gain or interest and without any original sin. Where do you see that happen in the Western world? Occasionally. And when it occasionally happens, something good comes of it. And that's the story of Satoshi. Socrates has his ideas and his integrity, and that's all he has, and he dies. And he's killed. And if you roll the clock forward all the way to 2009, you could say that the only thing you could own is your own memories or your own ideas. And it's the core of philosophy. Everything else you don't own you rent from a more powerful government or authority around you. So up until January 3rd, 2009, you couldn't own anything other than what's in your head. The pharaohs couldn't own their property. You don't own your gold. You don't own land. If you think you own something in California and I'm the mayor, I can take it from you by eminent domain. I can tax it away from you. I can take your gold. I can shoot you, and I can take all your stocks and your bonds. Nothing on this earth that you think you own do you own except at the pleasure of someone more powerful than you. January 3rd, 2009 is the singularity where for the first time in the history of the human race, you have property rights. And you have property rights because we come back to my first principle. The only thing you own are your memories. To the extent that your money is reflected in your memory, no one can take it from you. So Bitcoin was this invention whereby you could memorize a private key. You could put 1,000, a billion, a million, 10 billion, any amount of money in your head to the extent that the network has that wealth in it. And no one can take it from you or coerce it out of you at the barrel of a gun. I can shoot you and take all your stuff right now, all your property, if it isn't Bitcoin based on private keys. So the whole concept of property rights is, if I don't have property rights, I don't have right to my life force and my energy. I don't have the right to anything I've done in the past, economically, nor do I have the right to do anything in the future. That's why the Huguenots came here. That's why people came to America. That is the basis of so many things that have gone on in the world. This idea that without property rights, you lose your past, you lose your future. Bitcoin is a technology to convey property rights via the technology of encryption and cryptography. And to the extent that you use it properly, you finally have perfected property rights. And not only can you resist any coercion, but you can, for the first time, take economic energy with you to the grave. The pharaohs couldn't, right? The most powerful person in Egypt could not take economic energy with them to the grave. They tried to bury it in a pyramid, but people just break into the pyramids. But you take all the money in the world, you sell all your stuff, sell your land in California, sell your gold, sell your silver, sell your Apple stock, sell your diamonds and gold and collectibles, and sell all your fiat currency and your pesos and your bolivars and your rubles, and buy Bitcoin, put it in your head, and now you actually own something economically. So we can now modify that phrase from you only own your memories to the only thing you can own is your memories and your Bitcoin. And in 2009, you could own all the Bitcoin in the world as long as it was less than nothing, because the network was worth nothing. Today, you can own all the Bitcoin in the world as long as it's less than about $400 billion worth of stuff. But as the network grows, it becomes possible to shift more of the economic energy out of the system of coercion and corruption into a system of virtue, empowerment, and sovereignty. And that entire process started January 3rd, 2009, and it's been just like boil and a progression since then. And what we are seeing is property rights come to life in the human civilization. Everything you thought was a property right, you think you have property rights if you're Jewish in Nazi Germany? Do you have property rights in Cuba, North Korea? You have property rights until someone takes them away from you.